part 9 of the F122 career mode. We're in Austria and it's the second sprint weekend. And as you can see, qualifying set to be wet. The sprint set to be wet. It's going to be a tough one. The race though set to be bone dry, and to be honest, I don't know what it is. Back in the day when you used to drive in the wet conditions, I feel like if you had no pace, you just prayed for rain and hopefully you would magically get pace. But now, I think no matter what the track, obviously you'll be worse at other tracks like compared to the others, that's just a given in F1. But I don't think it matters what the track. There's not a track I'm better in at the wet than the AI. And I've noticed that, like, usually at tracks you're quicker than them through certain corners, but seeing the wet, it seems like every corner, it's just like, because you just need so much more grip at the corners in the wet, and the AI just absolutely annihilates you there. But we were alright through practice, but qualifying's basically straight off away on a sprint weekend, and as you can see, we actually qualified P6 there. Lando Norris did no bad, and into the sprint it was complete and utterly chucking it down, but it pretty much stayed as it was. We managed to move a bit forward into P4. As you can see, there was a few retirements. Latifi retired, Max Verstappen also retiring, which didn't help his cause. Russell and Ocon battling helped us to move up the field, but we actually had like a finishing order in the sprint. But after like the initial lap, man, not much happens in the sprint, especially when it's wet. We had like an official order of Hamilton, Norris, Perez, ourselves, Russell, Sainz. Of course, you got Max at the back, Leclerc further down as well, just due to a very poor qualifying. But it set up nicely for the race, and of course you get points for the sprint. So we're doing well after that great victory in Canada. Mclaren, you kind of get no chance of challenging the top three if we're being real. Like, even if we became the quickest car right now, I mean, I'm not saying it would be impossible to like overhaul Mercedes and maybe Red Bull, but Ferrari's just far too quick in this save, man. They're doing what they should be doing in real life, not completely dominating, but when they are getting qualifying 1-2, they are finishing 1-2. And of course, if you know Ferrari in real life, they are not doing that. But into the race, where all the points matter, we are at McLaren. We're starting second and fourth, but you know, now it's a 36 lap race in the dry with pit stops, DRS, all that shite. It's going to be hard to keep the faster cars behind us, i.e. both Ferraris and the Mercedes. But we've got ourselves lining up against Perez here. We kind of run wide, but does well enough. Norris loses the back end, which immediately just means Hamilton is going to lead this race. So we're up into P3, our teammate down the fourth, not ideal. Sergio Perez though up in P2. We try and hang it around the outside, but you forget, when you're on heavy fuel, you've pretty much no chance of managing to do that manoeuvre. We come back on, and even here, like the straight line speed, we got a much better exit, and we're not. Perez is pulling away down the straight. It's almost, you're questioning how in the fuck are we qualifying so high compared to the race. But I guess in qualifying, I'm just so much better under a lighter car, and the sprint shows that. But Sainz goes overtake us up into P3. We're not really battling the Ferraris, but I thought, fuck it, it's the opening lap, we may as well battle. And we managed to hang on for a few laps, and Sainz goes for it here into the second last corner. We hang it around the outside. He then proceeds to bottle it into the final corner, which gives him the shitest run of all time, which then proceeds and Lando Norris overtake them. We move on though to lap 8. Norris in our DRS, but as you can see to the right hand side, Max Verstappen has retired from this Grand Prix. His car's been sitting there. I mean, that's mad. A sprint and now an actual race back to back, where the guy's retired really early on. So insane. Perez in front though managed to get past Hamilton. You can kind of see that the Red Bull is quicker than the Merc. But yeah, I mean, doing really well. And as you see, Russell and Sainz swapping places here on lap 8. Moving on a bit though, Norris completely fucks up the last corner. He takes the last corner like he's overtaken us into it, which then actually makes Sainz overtake him. And then of course we've got Russell, who's probably also going to overtake our teammate. So I mean, we've went from battling for a podium here between both McLarens, then Norris just completely and utterly slipping down the order here on lap 10. So we've built a bit of a gap here, 2 seconds to Sainz and 2.5 to Norris. But we're approaching the first stops, and I was thinking, do you try and wing it for a 2-stop? It's just so broke, the game, where it is just completely set up for medium to hard. Like, you rarely get hard to medium. Like, you do get it more than like the soft tires used, but for season 2, I'll probably up the ante to 100% race. But because it just makes it so much better with strategy. Well, here it's like you literally are just set like, and that's another thing. They took out the rule where you don't need to start on your Q2 tire, which I kind of liked because it meant you had guys in the top 10 forced into starting on the softest tire, which forced them into a 2-stop. Well, here we don't really have that, but yeah, we're hanging on for now in the podium positions. But when you've got both Ferraris now fucking right up your arse, it'll be pretty hard to hold on. On to lap 12, Sainz in the DRS. Russell actually managed to get back in front of Leclerc, which is pretty insane. And even Norris gets in front of Leclerc, but Tom getting in front of Sainz overtakes us. And at this point, lap 12, the tyres are done. I mean, look at that. I mean, they're like in the mid 30%. But you know what? Austria's actually got pretty good tyre wear. But moving on to lap 16, we do have Leclerc back in front of Norris, and we do have Russell 1.1 seconds behind us. Hamilton at this point will be debating to try and undercut on Perez, but it looks like in terms of a race win, it's between those two. I mean, I think the Ferraris do have the pace to catch that up. It's just a question of can, you know, I mean, 20 laps to go, and well, for Sainz, for example, it's got 13 seconds to pull. It's a lot of time. If it was like 8 seconds, I think the Ferraris could still probably do a 1-2, like if he does the undercut. But at this stage, we had Leclerc who'd already pit. Russell overtakes as Hamilton, his teammates pit it and put on the hard tyre. We've got Perez, who's no pit it, but he's got the currently fastest lap. And on lap 17, we've almost did half a race distance, but I thought, I don't know, I was debating whether to commit to a 2-stop, but at this stage, if you've already did more or less half the race distance on the mediums, you may as well just do the 1-stop. But I thought the only chance of me hanging on to a podium or competing for a podium was in fact to you know, do a 2-stop. And in reality, looking back, I think it was a bit of a fuck up. But you know what, you've got to go for it when you're in a car that's not exactly on the pace of the top guys. But right now, we actually are in the lead because Perez and Hamilton are behind us. But also, at this point, you've got to think of it. The mediums have lasted quite a bit, so I decided, fuck it, we're going to do a 1-stop and go on to the softs. But it turns out the softs didn't last that long. And it wasn't long before Hamilton and Perez caught us, but Hamilton actually doing the undercut on Perez has got him back into the lead here. So maybe Mercedes can get their first win of the season, but now we're just holding up Perez's chances of a victory here. But both Ferraris, as you can see, I mean, they've way done the undercut on us. But we get to lap 22, and I thought, right, if I put the softs on with 14 laps to go, the mediums just did 21. Why can't the softs do 14? You know, I think it's a fair estimate. We actually come out in P6, not far behind George Russell. But no matter how hard I pushed, like, yeah, we were. I think I actually set the fastest lap on this set of softs, but I couldn't get close enough to Russell. And then by the time I got within like 3 seconds, the tyres just drop off. Norris begins catching. I only actually pulled like a 5-second gap on Norris. Then after this, we actually pit again for another set of soft tyres, set the fastest lap, finished P7. It was a bit of a disaster experiment. I mean, I would have been interested to see how the race would have went if I just put on the hard tyre. But at the end of the day, I think if I put on the hard tyre, we'd only beat Lando Norris, to be perfectly honest. So, you know, there is that, guys. But anyway, we finished P7. Perez wins. I mean, Ferrari couldn't quite close on the top two there. Russell gets probably an undeserved P5. But it moves us up the championship, moves McLaren up. Leclerc, of course, extends his championship lead. But for Verstappen's sake, at least Leclerc didn't win, guys. But that'll do it for this part of Career Mode. And until next time, peace.